And now I'm all yours and I'm excited.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So, as usual, I enjoyed our last discussion. And it was fun to hear you talking about wisdom and how, if I'm getting it right, one of your primary aims is to get us to experience our own wisdom while we're working with you.
There we go.
And I would just say that that's my experience when I work with you. I discover my own wisdom. And I've been realizing in the last week, a bunch of things have been happening. I've been realizing how important it is to be able to be comfortable with your own wisdom. And I really want to ask you a question about that. And I guess one of the things, there are several ways to put it. One would be, what would you like to see people be able to do
Oh,
that they can't do unless they're really in touch with their wisdom?
this is
And I would like to read a quote to you, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
This is something that when I read this the other night, I thought, oh, this is what I experience when I'm working with Beth. So your answer will not be the same, of course, but just let's use this as a triggering device. This
Wonderful.
is something that Pema Chodron is saying in her book, Welcoming the Unwelcome.
Okay. Pema Chodron, welcoming the unwelcome. I want to make
Yes.
sure that people hear that. Okay, wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah,
Good.
beautiful.
And she says, she's talking about the value of working with a teacher. She says, with some teachers, your shortcomings fade away and abilities grow like the waxing moon. And she says, hold such teachers dear, dearer than your own body. In their presence, we welcome more noble, brave, and altruistic thoughts and feelings. We become less cynical, petty, and self-doubting. And she says in her life, working with her teachers has shown her her own potential. It's like meeting a part of yourself that you didn't even know was there. So that's an awful lot of stuff, but
Oh my
I'm just
God, no,
like to comment on that. And you don't need to. You don't need to be,
Oh, I'm almost in tears. I think to myself, well, if I could be that, I would be happy. And I feel that there are changes coming at Raising Clarity, which also means within me. And so I can claim that. I can claim that direction. I think what you're pointing to is what I would like to be able to say, or for people to say about working with me. But I'm bowled over. I mean, this was a spontaneous podcast decision today, and I'm so glad I said yes. Yeah, I'm a little at a loss for words.
Well, of course you are. And let me just say that I love that reaction. That's an authentic reaction. That's what a real person does when you talk to them. And that's one of the things that I get out of working with you. It's like, you're a real person. Now, you've also stressed that you want people to be very practical. You consider this, you want people to apply this. So Pema Chodron was writing about a spiritual approach to life. And I know you have a spiritual approach to life, but you want us to use that in an applied way. You want it to be an active part of our ongoing life. Then we apply it to things. And so you might also want to look at what would people be able to do that they couldn't have done before if they, I mean, because again, let me say, working with some problems that have been coming up for me lately, I see the benefit of working with you. We didn't talk about any of these problems, but I'm more in touch with who I really am because you and I have been working together.
I love the you that is coming through in these podcasts too. The coach in you, the wise man in you, the myutic, the midwife in you. You're blushing a little bit, which is cute. That's good. It means it's landing what I'm saying, and I'm just loving these conversations. I think you are pointing to my use of the term phronesis in our last conversation, which is situated wisdom, somewhere in between techne and Sophia, somewhere in between knowing how to do something and having kind of more what we normally call wisdom, which is very airy-fairy and abstract. Nothing against Sophia. I love deep wisdom. But this situated wisdom, this applicable wisdom is exactly where I do live, where I do think I'm useful. Pema Chodron is a Tibetan Buddhist. Tibetans are very practical people. They have to be. And I'm quite sure that the shortcomings that fall away and the good qualities that start to emerge, as she's describing, also mean what you're talking about seeing in yourself, which is we might not have coached on something, you might not have thought to bring it up, but the coaching and the teaching helps you in that particular problem, in that particular situation. You and I talk abundantly outside of these conversations, and so I know that there are things that are coming up in your life and you're meeting them. I wouldn't even say you're addressing them. It's literally like you're meeting them kind of face to face, as a worthy.
There's I saw an old friend for the first time in years a couple of months ago, and it was just delightful. And he's had a lot to deal with, just a lot of really, really horrific things to deal with. And I said, "How are you doing with that?" And he said, "I've learned that I will come up with an answer. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to predict what's going to happen next, but I've learned that I'll handle it."
Panic is not legitimate. Panic is not necessary. Right.
No, it's not. But boy, I go there immediately.
Me too. And in my practice, and I never want anybody to adopt my practice. I do teach my practice, but not in coaching sessions, is doing the same thing for me. When I catch myself panicking, I'm like, well, that's one way to do it. That's one option, but it isn't any longer the only option. And then from panic, we go to flogging ourselves. I mean, that's what I do, and flogging myself into some kind of an answer. And I think what your friend is saying is, I know I have this deep confidence in myself, this deep certainty, clarity that I will come up with an answer. It doesn't mean I know the answer. It just means I don't have to panic. Panic is sort of a flurrying, unproductive, unhelpful thing. So there's an answer to the question that you asked me. I was so blown away by what you said, rolled over, that I lost the question, which is, what do I want people to do? How do I want them to apply? And correct me if I misunderstood the question, but their wisdom. So I do want people to uncover their own wisdom. I want them to become independent of me. I don't take people on as long-term projects. You and I have an equal coaching relationship. So we talk to each other for years. And that slot is not open. I'm not looking for others in that. I'm looking for people I can serve. And so, right, I want them to be in that position where they say, I know I can find a solution. I know I will find a solution. I might bring my problem to my coaching session with Beth, and she will then, I trust that she will point me in the direction of my own wisdom and weaving in my own spiritual practice, or whatever stands for a non-spiritual person in the stead of that practice. So when we say spiritual practice, you and I, we come from different places to that practice, but you have a very solid practice of watching your mind. That's what I'm talking about. Someone who's willing to observe the self. I don't really worry about what they think the self is, but watching that stream of thoughts. People who have a problem don't understand that their own minds are a huge part of the problem and want a solution are not my people. I can't do anything with that. The more I watch my mind, the more I see I'm creating. And that's what I want other people. That's what I'm here to show people, I think.
I think that it may be different the way you work with me than you work with some other people, but I'm not coming to you for advice, though I always love it when you give me advice. But you don't really do that.
Not much.
You want to draw me out.
Yeah.
You want me to experience myself.
Right. Advice is so unhelpful most of the time. Yeah. Advice is like you've got a ship that's imbalanced and you just you drop the advice and it like gets more imbalanced, sort of. I don't know. It's been, yeah, right. Every so often. Yeah.
There are some things that, there are times when I know, well, I really ought to blah, 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 but I'm not gonna. I know myself. So,
and even less are you going to do blah, blah, blah that I would suggest. It's just like, doesn't, exactly. Yeah.
But right. We hear each other. There's this fine-tuned listening that we do. And I like who we are when we're, I like who we are anyway, but I like who we are when we're working together, especially.
Right. What we're listening to is what I listen to in a session with someone else. I'm listening for the voice in you where I can say that one. One of my clients once put it as shining a spotlight. They might have, like we do, many voices. Well, which one do I give precedence to? And if I don't have to give you advice, I can say, no, listen to that one. That one really makes sense. And this one needs to be listened to because it's a tender, hurting child that needs attention. That one doesn't want to be vilified, but of course we don't want to let that one take over. This wise man, there's the wise voice. Yeah, and that's what you do with me too, is like, you tell me, here's what I'm hearing. Here's what I'm hearing. I'm mirroring back to you, here's what I'm hearing. And you will always subtly indicate what's the right thing, like at least where to lean, what to lean into, what to listen to, but you won't say, listen to that one.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I think increasingly we're dealing with things that are very difficult to categorize, let alone find answers for. And I think that one of the questions that comes up for me is, as I listen to how I feel when I work with you, is what kind of life do I want to live now? I still want to make those choices.
Yes.
I want to be able to say, this is how I want to live, but not in the way I used to, which was, this is how I want to live. What's wrong with me? I'm not doing it.
Right.
And once I go down that tube, oh, I'm lost. I'm going to wallow in that for a long, long time. So I think that we're talking about hearing our wisdom. We're talking about hearing what voice in us, because we've got lots of different voices, what voices we want to listen to. I also think that part of what I get out of working with you is I just feel better about myself when I'm doing it. Not even because I think you're making me work hard, but because there's something that's going on that we both sense about life. I'm not even sure we can put it into words, but it's quite real and it's quite positive.
And if we did put it into words, our mutual senses of it might be quite different, but there's something authentic to each of us. One of the things I wanted to add to what you were saying is that as we age, life gets better. And I feel like that's a big secret and a reveal, as they say, or one of the myths is that life was much better when we were younger. It's like, I would give anything not to go back to being younger. Mm-hmm. I'm so grateful to be the age that I'm at and to look ahead and say, oh, and what a perfect time to be growing old now that, what Norman Lear is 100, all kinds of people are in their 80s and 90s and passing 100. And I have a lot to look forward to, and you have a lot to look forward to. Yes, there are certain decisions that need to be remade, like about our health. Oh, well, if this body is going to carry me through that time, there are some different decisions that I have to make. And one is to be really responsible for my health and not hand that responsibility off. But, it's also a function of making good choices for a long time. But yeah, there's a lot. I just feel like it's one of the best kept secrets is that getting old is a wonderful thing, is a grateful, lucky thing.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
Completely agree. We can feel and sense the world in a whole way that we haven't been able to before. There are less forces making us try to be someone we're not.
It's more uncharted.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can make it up more. It can look more like us and not like something someone stuck on us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or that we thought was ours, but it was there were ideas that we had inherited or embellished in our unconscious when we were frightened and young, and now we're going, wait a minute.
Yeah,
I don't need that anymore.
I don't need that one. Some of it's really, really helpful. Like we talked about wisdom last time, but some of that is not helpful.
Yeah.
Wow. I think this is where we should stop.